Dan Blocker truly hated him more than anyone. Boyd Dan Davis Blocker became Dan Blocker on December 10, 1928, in DeKalb, Texas. As a child, he lived in the rough hills of Texas. His life was built on hard work, humility, and a strong sense of family. From a very young age, he had a unique mix of physical strength and kindness, which would later define his most famous movie part. A life of honesty, hard work, and service was what Dan Blocker lived before he became famous. Even when he was young, he was a gentle giant. He was 6 feet 4 inches tall, and weighed about 300 pounds. It was in their small shop in O'Donnell, Texas, where he learned the value of hard work and being a part of a community. Blocker first went to Texas Military Institute, and then Sul Ross State Teachers College, where he did very well in school, and became famous as a football player. His friends looked up to him, because he was hardworking and good at sports. He graduated with a degree in English, and later got a master's degree in dramatic arts. When he was young, these things taught him discipline and passion that would help him in his personal and business life. Before getting into show business, Blocker proudly served his country. He was forced to join the U.S. Army, and worked as an Army sergeant during the Korean War. He learned a lot about sacrifice, leadership, and courage while he was in the service. He often said that his time in the war changed the way he saw the world, and made him more compassionate. People who knew him during this time said he was a man of great honesty, with a quiet strength and true kindness that never changed, even when things got tough in battle. After serving in the military, Blocker went back to Texas and became a teacher. He shared his love of books and history with his students before fate led him to become an actor. Dan Blocker didn't get into Hollywood right away, or easily, but he worked hard and it paid off. Around the end of the 1950s, he started getting small roles on TV shows like The Rifleman, Gunsmoke, and The Restless Gun. Casting directors were immediately drawn to him because of his natural charm and big frame. He had never been the same after getting the part of Hoss Cartwright on Bonanza in 1959. The part would not only make or break his career, but it would also make him one of the most famous TV characters ever. Everything that Dan Blocker was in real life was shown in Hoss, the middle son of the Cartwright family. People quickly connected with Hoss's warmth and humility because he was kind, funny, compassionate, and morally right. Blocker's performance added emotional depth to the show that balanced its action and adventure. It ran for 14 seasons, from 1959 to 1973, and became one of the most popular TV shows of all time. Before his unexpected death in 1972, Blocker was in 415 episodes. During that time, he became a TV star in the United States. His character stood out not because he was the fastest gun or the hardest cowboy, but because he was kind and honest. Fans and critics both liked how Blocker brought truth to the Western genre, and made Hoss the show's emotional center. Behind the scenes, his co-stars, such as Lauren Green, Michael Landon, and Pernell Roberts, really admired him. They said he was the moral compass of the group, and that fame never changed who he was. The love story between Dan Blocker and Dolia Parker Blocker is one of the most touching and lasting in Hollywood history. In a field where relationships tend to end quickly, this one showed loyalty, humility, and deep love. Their love for each other began long before Dan became famous. They met while they were both students at S. Ross State University in Alpine, Texas. Dan was there to study, and Dia was involved in the college community as well. They were connected from the start because they shared ideals, like respect, kindness, and a real love for simple things. There are a lot of couples in show business who got together because of money or fame, but Dan and Dolphia built their relationship on trust and knowing that their hearts were safe in each other's hands. Even though Dan Blocker was already famous for his part as Eric Hoss Cartwright on Bonanza, they got married in 1952. The couple were very simple, and so was their wedding. Two people in love who are beginning their life together with only hope and drive. Dan was still having a hard time as an actor and teacher, and he had to work many jobs to support his young family. Dia always stood by his side, giving him support and reassurance when the road ahead looked cloudy. Dan was inspired by her quiet strength and patience to follow his dreams, even when it looked like he would never be successful. It wasn't fame or money that brought them together, it was faith in each other's abilities, and the idea that love could get them through anything. As Dan's starring career took off in the late 1950s and reached new heights with Bonanza in 1959, Dolia stayed by his side. She never sought the spotlight or recognition for herself. Instead, she focused on their home and kids. Dia kept their family grounded while Dan spent long hours shooting the popular Western show. She made sure that their kids had love, normalcy, and strong morals as they grew up. Friends and co-workers often said that even though Dan Blocker was famous, he stayed surprisingly polite and focused on his family. They thought that Dia's quiet influence played a big role in this. He could talk to her about anything, and she was the person who reminded him of who he was behind all the fame and success. They had 4 children together, twin sons David and Dirk, a daughter Deborah Lee, and a son Dana Lynn. People knew the Blocker home for its kindness and laughter, and Dan often said that his wife kept things in check, but he wouldn't let Hollywood change how he treated his family or wife, even as his fame grew. He often talked about how much he loved Dia, calling her his best blessing and the love of his life. They were married through the ups and downs of fame, long work hours, and the stresses of public life, but it never changed. People in Dan's class knew how much he loved Dolphia. He often rushed home after a shoot, instead of going to parties for people in his field, because he wanted to spend the evenings alone with his wife and kids. There were not many westerns on TV that were as popular as Bonanza. People all over America fell in love with the Cartwright family for more than 10 years, led by patriarch Ben and his 3 boys, Adam, Hoss, and Little Joe. But things were not as peaceful behind the scenes as they seemed on TV. Bonanza made the group look like a close-knit frontier family, but their real-life relationships were sometimes much more complicated. Perhaps the tense and emotionally charged one was the one between Dan Blocker, who played the kind-hearted giant Eric Hoss Cartwright, and Pernell Roberts, who played Adam Cartwright, and was serious and smart. Dan Blocker was known for being friendly and happy, and he was very loyal to his co-workers. He rarely had bad feelings toward anyone. Blocker was from Texas, and had been a teacher and soldier. He was a strict man who valued honor and working together. He tried to get along with Pernell Roberts, but it was hard. It wasn't ego or a desire for more TV time that made them fight. It was about people with different characters and beliefs. Roberts was known for being very vocal, and he often said that Bonanza's writing and direction were weak and predictable. He wanted deeper stories that made people think about social rules, and he wasn't afraid to be loud about it on set. Roberts was always criticizing Blocker, who believed in being professional and loyal to the show that made them popular. Some time ago, Blocker said, "Pernell thought he was smarter than the rest of us. He might have been, but that didn't let him treat people badly." He also said that working with Roberts could be like walking on eggshells because Roberts wouldn't practice lines that he thought were badly written or not appropriate for him. Blocker was proud of how easygoing and helpful he was, so he thought this behavior was rude to the cast and crew. He'd often say, "We're a family on this set, and a family doesn't tear each other down in front of outsiders." As time went on, the intellectual gap between the 2 men grew even bigger. Roberts wanted to leave the show because she felt artistically stifled there. On the other hand, Blocker loved Bonanza, and saw it as a unique chance to bring good clean fun to American homes. Blocker was thankful for the show's financial success, while Roberts didn't like it. Blocker once said that Pernell thought Bonanza was too easy, too moral, and too nice. But that's what people needed, some good in their lives. That was hidden from him. Even though they were different, both actors were very committed to making their acts real. Roberts was a classically trained actor who put a lot of effort into every part, while Blocker relied on gut feelings and honesty. The fight between their minds and hearts became a symbol of their relationship and the creative energy that made Bonanza possible. Behind closed doors, they fought a lot, but it never got physical. But everyone in the group knew that Blocker didn't like Roberts. That one time, Michael Landon, who played Little Joe, said that Dan tried to be gentle, but Pernell always pushed people past their limits. Blocker was said to have felt both happy and sad when Roberts finally left Bonanza in 1965. "I never wished him bad," he said in an interview after many years. "But I was glad to stop fighting." The exit brought peace back to the set, and Blocker's good mood came back in full force. Still, he couldn't get rid of all of his anger. Even though Blocker agreed that he was smart, he made everyone around him unhappy. Being angry won't help you build anything good. In a strange way, Blocker's anger lessened over time. Roberts went on to work in theater and on stage after leaving the show. He also continued to speak out about social problems that were important to him. Even though Blocker never made peace with Roberts directly before his untimely death in 1972, he was said to have talked about him with awe and respect in later interviews. He forgot to be grateful for what he had, Blocker once thought. Maybe he was right to want more. Their friendship is still one of the most interesting behind-the-scenes stories in the history of TV. Two skilled men who loved their work but couldn't get past their different ideas of what it meant to be an artist got into a fight. Dan Blocker wasn't just mad at Pernell Roberts because he hated him. He was also disappointed in him. He felt let down that someone he admired for being smart and talented could also be so cold, critical, and far away. In the end, Blocker left behind a memory of kindness, generosity, and friendship, while Roberts' legacy was one of independence and defiance. Both men left a mark on Bonanza that will never go away. But Blocker's big heart and honest words are what fans still remember after all these years. You don't have to like everyone you work with, but you should try to accept them, as Blocker put it once. We were never given that chance by Pernell. The sudden and sad death of beloved star Dan Blocker on May 13, 1972, shocked and broke the hearts of everyone. Perhaps most famous for playing Eric Hoss Cartwright on the long-running TV western Bonanza. When Blocker died in Englewood, California, he was only 43 years old. He left a huge hole in the entertainment business and in the hearts of millions of fans who loved his warmth, humor, and humanity on and off the screen. A pulmonary embolism, a sudden and deadly blockage of an artery in the lungs, was the official cause of death. It happened after what was supposed to be a routine gallbladder surgery at Daniel Freeman Memorial Hospital. At the time, news stories said that Blocker had gone to the hospital for a routine procedure that neither he nor his doctors thought could kill him. But after the surgery, things went wrong when a blood clot formed and moved to his lungs, cutting off his oxygen intake and causing his heart to stop beating. His family confirmed the sad news, which was later picked up by news sites which said, Blocker went to the hospital for gallbladder surgery, got a blood clot in his lung and died. This simple sentence perfectly caught how shockingly and suddenly he died. It was hard to believe that he had died because he was portrayed as a strong, larger-than-life character whose kind spirit had become a symbol of Bonanza's moral core. Not only did his wife Dolphia Parker Blocker and their 4 children, David, Deborah, Dana, and Dirk Blocker, feel terrible about his death, but so did everyone else. The second one was an actor like his father, but it was also a sad time for his extended Bonanza family. Some of the cast and crew who were said to be greatly affected were Lauren Green, Michael Landon, and Pernell Roberts. When Green heard the news, he allegedly broke down and said it was the end of an era. Green played the father figure Ben Cartwright. Michael Landon, who was very close to Blocker, couldn't get over his loss. He later changed parts of Bonanza to show how much he missed his friend and co-star.